Hey, and welcome back to the Graduated and Grown podcast. Just in case you missed the first episode, my name is Ariane, and I will be your host and guide for the show. I'm really excited to share today's episode with you all because it features one of my dearest friends from college, Miss Sion McCollum. And I always find it funny how our names are so similar. So my name is Ariane McCullough, and her name is Sion McCollum. Literally, we could get away with being sisters if we just say our names really fast. Anyway, but that's how I knew how we were destined to be friends and sisters for life. So Sian and I took some time to sit down and recap our college experience. We've literally been friends since the first day of college, and we had similar yet completely different experiences, which you'll hear once the conversation actually starts. But it was actually really cool because we learned new things about each other while we were doing the recording. So I thought that was super valuable and helpful for the both of us. Just for a little background, Sion is a 22-year-old graduate of Oakwood University and a current student at the University of Michigan, where she's in the Advanced Master's of Social Work program. Sion is a bubbly, fun-loving, caring, and funny young woman who's known for her giggles, her helping hand, and, in my personal opinion, her amazing hairstyle choices. I love the different colors and cuts that she does. And just so you know, Sion did not tell me to say any of this stuff. This is all coming from my heart and my mind. And we've been friends, like I said earlier, since August of 2016, and we'll be riding until the wheels fall off. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy our conversation today where we talk about college relationships, friendship struggles, feeling lonely in college, and what being free from responsibilities in college can do to you. And just like every guest episode, Sia will provide some advice for those of us who are graduated and grown. So enjoy. I don't know about you, but I think adulting is hard. Figuring out your love life, finances, friendships, professional life, health, and how to make a freaking doctor's appointment on your own can be so overwhelming sometimes. So, welcome to Graduated and Grown, a podcast that's focused on helping you and me overcome the struggles of adulting. Let's have some fun yet honest conversations about life once you're graduated and grown. All right, guys, I have a very special guest with me today. I mean, you already learned a little bit about her during the intro. It's my friend, Miss Sion McCullum. Sion, say hey.
Hey everyone. Hello.
So, Sion, I'm really excited to talk with you today about just topics that don't normally come up in conversation. I feel like we always talk about the good, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But today I want to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the best moments of college. So I think this would be a really good time for us to just reminisce on those great times and then reflect on the not so great times. So to kick off the podcast, I want to do something just a little bit fun so that the listeners can get to know you kind of on more of a friendship or personal level. So question number one, what are your top 3 all-time favorite movies?
Favorite movies? Oh. Well, I'm a Disney person, so I'm just gonna stick with my Disneys. Princess and the Frog. Yeah, you already knew. So many. Princess and the Frog. Mulan. You saw that one coming. And I'm probably gonna be stuck between Inside Out or maybe Finding Nemo.
Interesting. Okay.
Honestly, cross out Inside Out, Finding Nemo. Yeah.
I think Inside Out was really good. I think that was probably one of the best Pixar movies. It was so good, and it was deep too.
It was. I was shook.
So wait, what did you think about? I don't remember. We kind of talked about this, but what did you think about Soul? I know it was very similar to Inside Out. Did you like it? Did it not meet the mark?
I had mixed feelings about it. I felt like, well, I love animation, so I loved the animation of it, how they just incorporated a lot of Black culture and stuff like that. I think the message was kind of of course, a little too deep. Not saying that kids wouldn't be able to understand it, but I felt like it catered to more of an older population to us, and kind of just maybe went over the kids' heads a little bit. But I think overall was good, nice message. I think they could have definitely dialed it down a little bit in terms of how they explain things. So it was good. Not too hyped about it, but yeah.
I feel you. I liked it. I think I would watch it again, like in the future, but it's not something
Right.
I would go to my 12-year-old cousin and be like, oh, he won't get it.
No.
Like he'll be bored
Yeah.
pulling out his phone. Okay, next question. This is
Okay.
an interesting one, and I really don't know what you're going to say for this. If you had to be famous on any social media platform, which one would it be and why?
Okay. Probably Instagram
Mm,
because of Instagram Live. I don't know. I feel like I'll be able to connect. I don't know. I just have fun on Instagram Live. Well, when I do go, because I don't go on it all the time.
right.
But it's like one of those platforms where you don't always have to. Well, for me, I feel like I don't really have to be on it all the time. But when I do go on it, I get a lot of feedback and a lot of participation, engagement. So it's like one of those things like hit or miss. I could chill, post stuff, and then I can go on and socialize.
Okay, I was thinking you were going to say either Instagram or TikTok.
TikTok, I'm not. That takes TikTok. You need a lot of patience. I'm not good at editing the videos, and you got to rewind it and you got to cut it. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And learn all the dances.
Yes, and it's a process with TikTok. You can't just go up. Well, it depends on what you're doing, but for the most part, if you want good content, then you want to like make sure it looks good.
I think if you're like I think if you're like a professionally trained dancer who dances all the time, or somebody that's like literally funny all the time, like that
Mhm.
is your platform. Or if you like cook or something, that's also
Right.
really good. But for us regular folk, it's kind of like,
Yeah. I don't.
just enjoy it and make a video every once in a while.
Right.
Okay. Now, what is the best memory that you've had from college?
Honestly, probably when we did High School Musical, the lip sync battle. Yeah, that was
Really?
probably one of the best memories. Out of the one that stood out the most, because I know there was a lot of memories, but like that definitely came out of my comfort zone for that one. So,
I agree. I agree.
because freshman year, Sion, when y'all did the little what was it?
Uh, Can You Stand the Rain?
Yes,
Uh,
I was
Lip
like,
sync.
I'll hold the camera, I'll record y'all, I'll cheer y'all on. So, but it was fun. I enjoyed that one.
Yay. Okay, now let's get deep. Just kidding, not really.
Yeah.
But like, what's your biggest regret from college?
I feel like we're gonna talk about this later, but I'll kind of like sneak it in. Probably, I wouldn't say regret because, okay, regret, but used slightly, but being in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
throughout college, whether that was just going into college with a relationship or had one during. I appreciated the relationships because I feel like it made me who I am now. But like I was so busy during college, and I always gave 100% to my significant others and everything else. So it was just a lot of draining for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I would have been able to experience college a little bit better if I didn't have, you know, the idea of I have to like maintain a relationship
I
along
have to
with
go back to my
other.
room, call them.
Yeah, I would have liked to be
Okay.
single.
Can't go back, but okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I think that
Yes.
is really interesting because you came into college with a relationship and then you got into
Mhm.
a relationship later, but we'll get into that.
Yes.
So, next thing I'm going to ask you about, I want you to rank each year of school from best to worst,
Ooh.
and then I'll go after
Okay.
you.
Best, probably sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
and then senior year, junior year. I'm sorry, sophomore year, freshman year, senior year, and then junior year.
Interesting. Mine would be from best to worst. Freshman year, senior year. It's hard to pick between junior and sophomore year. Probably junior, then sophomore year. Junior year is actually a blur. I don't remember much from junior year. I
Yeah.
have to go back and look through my pictures. But okay, interesting. So let's move on to like kind of like establishing like who you were prior to college. So I didn't know you back then. So who was Sion in high school?
I was such an introvert. I was so quiet.
Uh,
Because okay, so before high school, I just moved from Maryland to Georgia. So that really kind of shook my world in terms of finding out who I am, what am I
mhm,
doing in life, what's happening, going to a public school. So it was just a lot of new changes. So I was definitely in my in a bubble. I ran track, so that definitely was a good outlet for me in terms of just being an introvert. I didn't really, I was the type of person that was friends with almost everyone. I didn't have a specific friend group, but I was that kid that, you know, I group projects, I'll go with them, or lunch, I'll sit with them, talk to them, kind of thing. So I didn't really have a group to myself. But yeah, I was just really quiet, very shy, didn't raise my hand, didn't participate. I was more so like not a teacher's pet, but like before class, I would sit with the teachers, and after class, I would just hang out with the teachers. So not all, but like no, like most of my friends were teachers. Like before classes would start in the morning, I would go chill with Mr. Jennifer, or at before track practice, I'll go hang out with Miss Mashburn. So it was like those were my friends.
Wow, interesting. Very, maybe that has something to do with you being the oldest child, and maybe you're used to being around like a lot of adults.
And that's the thing, like when I came to high school, a lot of the friends I did make were juniors and seniors. So I didn't really have friends, you know, in my class. So when they graduated, it was just like, okay, teachers.
Love that. Okay, so let's move to like senior year. Like pretty much senior year is all about getting ready for post high school life.
Yeah.
So how was your college application process? Were you 100% set on Oakwood? Did you have your eyes on other schools? Like, where was your head at?
So senior year, I was working at Walmart and I was running track. And at this time, I was taking track very seriously. My coaches, you know, said I had potential, I can go far. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, I love running, I love track, I love, you know, what I do. So during this time, I wasn't really looking at colleges for real, for real. Even it took me a while to just do the ACT and SAT. So I wasn't really looking into colleges. I was hoping that maybe recruiters would come and look at me and see what happens. But because, you know, I couldn't run on Saturday, that didn't happen. So I was like, okay, I need a plan B. So then that's when I started looking at colleges in Georgia. I was in a relationship during this time. So a lot of my decisions in terms of where I wanted to go were based off of staying in Georgia, you know, so that way we can maintain that relationship.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, my mom went to Oakwood, so that option came up and was like, you know, Oakwood's my alum, woohoo, you know. And I was just like, that's kind of far. I kind of want to stay in Georgia. I didn't say it was because of him, because you know, no one wants to say, I want to stay here because of him. So I kind of played it off and was like, I'm not feeling it. But I went to OU Live, you know, just for the experience, and I loved it. At the time, I didn't know what I wanted to major in. I knew I wanted to help people, whether that was therapy, education, nursing, whatever. But my mom was like, you know, just put yourself down as social work just because. I was like, okay, cool. And like during that weekend, I just circled around, you know, the department, and I just loved it. They made me feel welcome. And I was just like, you know, this, and they just told me about the different things you can do in social work. So that kind of sparked my interest. And then that's when I started researching about social work and what I can do with it. And ironically, like the colleges that I applied to in Georgia, they didn't have social work as a major. They had psychology. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just put psychology down and see what happens, and then maybe transfer. But I didn't get accepted to any of those colleges, but Oakwood. So, you know, to me, you know, God obviously wanted me to go to Oakwood for a reason. So I didn't fight it. I wasn't upset. I was just like, okay, you know, it's college, you know, it's a new experience. Let me just go keep my relationship and see what happens. So the application process was just really based off of Georgia versus Oakwood, and Oakwood won.
That's okay. This is interesting because I know that you know, you were focused on track, but I thought like your parents, well, specifically your mom, would be like, since you were a kid, oh good. That's just really what I assumed. And then I want to talk about I didn't know that you didn't know that you wanted to do social work going into college. I thought this was like something you were at 5 years old. I want to do social work. Like, I see my parents doing it. Wow.
They definitely had an influence on me, but I didn't know like to put a name on it, like social work, psychology, education. I didn't really know. And the thing about it is they let me make my own decisions. So like they encouraged me to, like, if you want to do track, you know, go ahead and apply and see what happens. If you want to go to Oakwood, go ahead. If you want to apply here. So they were just very supportive during the whole entire process of it. So, which made it a little harder because like I wanted them to kind of like push me in a direction.
Yeah,
but they were like, you know, this is your choice. You know, this is the beginning of your adulthood. You know, we can't hold your hand all the way. So I was
Yeah.
just like, dang, okay, this is it.
I need your hand for just one more
Yes,
time.
one more time.
Okay, that's interesting. And I definitely think our stories are definitely different, but obviously they worked out the same. So, like, as you know, I was in high school. I wasn't really thinking about college. Like, I knew I was going to go to college, but I was like, we'll save that for
Hmm.
senior year. And so I was always considering Oakwood, but I was kind of more focused on like Spelman, University of Michigan, yada yada yada. OU Live definitely played a huge role in me making that decision. And
Hmm.
listeners, me and Sian were actually in the same group, never spoke to each other, so that's hilarious. But
I don't even
I think
remember
OU
that.
Live played a huge role because you like got to be on the campus, you got to go to the
Yeah.
basketball games, you got to see who your potential classmates were. And at that time, I really liked the psychology professor, the guy who taught you guys'
Hotnet.
stats class. Yes,
Yes.
loved. I was like, oh, like maybe I do I was just all over the place at that point. But I was like, maybe I do psychology. I got his business card,
Mm.
never used it, but so, and then for me, my mom was definitely like really supportive, like, go wherever you want. And it's funny, at the time, I didn't think she was like pushing me to go to Oakwood because she went to Oakwood too. But we were talking
Hmm.
about it a couple months ago. She was like, oh, yeah, I was praying that you would pick Oakwood, yada, yada,
Wow.
yada. I'm like, oh, you never told me that.
My mom
But
too.
maybe, right. But maybe if they would have done that, maybe that would have kind of like pushed us away.
Mm.
Sometimes, yes, you want your parents to kind of like give you answers, but other times they're like, no, I'm an adult, I want to do it myself.
Yeah.
So okay, it all worked out for us. We made it to Oakwood. But like,
Whew.
did you have any expectations for college when it came to like the dating scene? Well, maybe not the dating scene
Hmm.
because you're in a relationship, but like friends, parties, classes.
Honestly, like I remember. Okay, well, prior to going to Oakwood, me and my family were going through a rough time. We had to leave our house, and we were staying in a hotel at this time. So it was just a lot of um, within that transition. It was just a lot going on. So my expectations were not there at all. It was just more so
Mm-hmm.
focused on my family. I'm not there for them. I can't be there for them. And my parents, they travel a lot, so it's like I was like focused on my siblings. Where are they going to stay while my parents are working?
Mm-hmm.
So freshman year was the expectations was like out the window. I was just like, let me just go with the flow. I don't really care what happens. I'm just really
Mm-hmm.
focused on my family. Because I think you remember I went home a lot, during
Yeah.
freshman year. But like in terms of, parties and friends and classes, I was still like new because I went to a predominantly white school. So I was like, I had no idea what it was going to be like going to a HBCU, let alone
Yeah.
Adventist, private school. So I was like, okay, well, this is gonna be interesting. And surprisingly, I actually made friends. I didn't because I was an introvert. I was like, it might be hard, just because I was so like to myself in high school. So this is gonna be a new environment for me to be extrovert. But being around you, Bria, everyone else, it just made it natural for me to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in terms of classes, it was like my school was very hard on us. Like we did tests, practice tests, performance finals, gateways all the time. So when it came to like classes, it was more so like, oh, we did this in my senior year. So
Mm-hmm.
of course that changed when you got into your major and the classes that you're into.
So let's like fully talk about freshman year now. So what's
Mm-hmm.
one word you would use to describe freshman year?
This sounds like very boring, but like just new. It was.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's for everyone, but like I really not found myself, but I don't know. It's just I got involved, and for
Mm-hmm.
me that was new. The only thing I was involved in ever was track, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have to talk to anyone. I just ran, so it was
Right.
like so it was new for me, just interacting with people who had similar beliefs, lifestyles. Just got involved really fast, and a lot of that was new for me. And I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of at the end of freshman year, I was kind of like I did a lot freshman year, Ignite and just got into the social work club. And then, we went to a lot of the events that happened on campus. So I was
All
like,
of them, literally
I
all of
think
them.
if there was a award for like perfect attendance, I think we would win because we were there.
Yes,
Um,
well, senior year we probably went to like two.
to So it was new. It was a new experience, and I think I don't want to say it was the best year, but like just going through a new environment, new experience, new situations, you never know what you're gonna get. So it's
Yeah.
not like you're thinking too hard about it. Well, that was from my perspective.
I think for me, I think new was a really great word. That didn't even like run past my mind, but I will also add, I think it was like just fun. Like I don't even remember any like bad things
Mm,
during, it just seemed like it was just always food, fun,
yeah,
conversation. And I guess this could kind of be linked to like me being like the only child. Like I wasn't used to like being in my room and like talking to somebody my age, or
right.
you know, just another like kid.
Yeah.
So I would say I like new, I would say fun. And then also my next question is about like our roommates. And I
Mm,
think that was definitely a fun experience for both of us. Definitely different. We both roomed with people that we didn't know before.
yeah.
So like, how was your roommate experience? And like, how did you guys get paired up as roommates?
So coming into Oakwood, I didn't know anybody, so I was just like,
Hmm.
I'm just gonna just pick a room and then pray that it's someone nice or whatever. Um, and so when we got there, registration day, my mom, she was just so pressed on getting me in the room that we just skipped the entire process of going to Cunningham and getting cleared.
Hmm.
So we went to Carter, and I don't know, we went up and my door was open, and my roommate was already in there, Ivory, and
Hmm.
she was great. Her parents were there, and we just clicked. You know, we were total opposites, but like I feel like we meshed so well. We had a good balance of being social with each other, but then we were also like acknowledged each other's silence, and we didn't take that as
Yeah.
a bad way. And I think that was a perfect freshman year roommate because I didn't feel like I had to talk to her all the time, and she didn't feel like she had to talk to me all the time. But when we would come to each other's rooms and beds, we would just talk and chat, and it was cool. Sometimes we go to the cast, you know, we had our own friend group, but like at the
Hmm.
end of the night, you know, we were still cool. um so I feel like she was a perfect freshman year roommate. I had no regrets. We meshed so well.
I feel you. I feel the same way about my roommate. You know, Star. Like Stars
Yes.
are both of our really good friends.
Yeah.
So with me and Star, you know how you had to fill out this like questionnaire? It was on
Mhm.
my Oakwood, and so I was like, oh, they're gonna pair me with somebody that's like really similar to me. And me and Star, we're similar, but we're not the same
Yeah.
person at all. We're just like two different types of people. We both love to talk though.
Yes.
That's definitely us. So somehow I think Star, or did one of us got in contact with like the Carter Hall people, and then they told us the name of our roommate. I don't remember if it was me or Star, and then maybe it was me, and I reached out to her. I don't know, but I was like, oh, this girl's from Indiana. Like I know we've been to some of the same church events, and we went to the same
Mhm.
camp like the summer before or something. So I was like, oh, so she should be, you know, pretty cool. Like we have some mutual acquaintances. So the very first day, I get there first. I'm like, yes, I get to choose which side of the room I want to be in. So me, my mom, my granddad, and my grandma were like bringing stuff in, and then we see a girl poke her head in. I was like, Star? And she was like, Ariel? We were like, ah!
Wow.
The cutest moment. And I feel like that's what started our friendship. And even though me and Star are definitely different, I think, again, like she was the perfect roommate for me to start off with. Like,
Mhm.
I always wonder, like, if me and Bria were roommates, you know, would we still be
Yeah.
friends to this day? Like, if you and me were roommates, would we still, you
Right.
know, because we're just, I don't know how it will work out. I think it worked out perfectly. Star was my roommate
Yeah.
for 2 years, and we're still friends. I think our friendship has probably even grown more since not being
Mhm.
roommates. So that's
Wow.
interesting.
I love it. I think everything works out perfectly. I feel like us being able to pop into each other's rooms is what made our friendship. I felt like if we were roommates, it was like we were with each other all the time, then we wouldn't
Hmm.
have created as many roommate memories as we did. You know, coming to each other's rooms at 2 o'clock, the FaceTime
Yeah.
calls, you know, having our little worships and stuff
Oh, the
like that.
worships.
Yes.
Wow.
We had like a little schedule and we'll just rotate each other's rooms. So I think that was a big part of our friendship. It was just in each other's rooms.
Mm-hmm. Literally every, oh, it's like coming back to me. We would literally like, I think like another like word that like describes freshman year was just like community. Cause like, you know, we
Yes,
had that friendship community of
we
like our girl
did.
group. We had like that ignite community,
Yeah,
which was interesting at times. You know,
yeah,
you had like your class community, you had your orientation group.
right. And then your department. So
Hmm. Let's talk about how we became friends. I want you to describe how we became friends from your point of view, and then I'll describe it from my point of view.
Okay. I wish I could really remember what happened, but I really would. It was just so much that happened like the beginning of freshman year. Like you said, it was fun. So like every day it was just a new experience. But I remember you from the group chat.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were very talkative. Always give your input and stuff. And I know we followed each other's Snapchat or Instagram, so I always like knew what you looked like, and you were just very expressive, out there, social. And I remember I was in one of the rooms waiting to get cleared, and I heard your voice in the hallway. I was like, that kind of sounds like. No, first I was like, who's that? And because it was quiet, and we we're just sitting there waiting for hours. And you walked by, and I saw you. I think you had braids.
Mm-hmm.
You walked by, and I was just like, I told my mom, I was like, that's the girl from the group chat. She's like, oh, well, go say hi. I'm like, I'm not saying hi. I don't know her.
Right.
So and then after that, I don't remember us meeting or introducing. I just remember seeing you in Cunningham. I think we said hi to each other, but after that, I think we put in the group chat like, hey, if you're in Carter or something, or we did some type of link up, and then some other people came and joined. Mm-hmm. And after that, we were just always together, whether that was in Carter, we were going to the caf, the library.
Interesting. Okay. I think my brain does something where it makes up memories. Okay. So tell me, was your mom driving like a white car?
Yes, it was white.
So this may be right. I remember something about some lady, she was in a white car, and I don't know if I heard her voice or something, but it made me look. And then I think I saw you, and this was like outside of Carter. And I was like, oh, that's the girl. I think it was Snapchat, because I remember Sion used to have this bright blonde hair. I'm not gonna say bright, but I mean, when you saw Sion, bright. Yeah, when you saw Sion, you knew it was Sion. But it was very convenient when you were looking for it.
I'm weak.
And that's what I just remember. That was the first time I see you. I don't remember if I went up to you or what. I mean, I probably did if I recognized you. You probably seemed cool at the time. But you're right. Something happened where we had some type of meetup, because I remember somehow it brought you, Danielle, Janae, and Tila down to like me, Star, Cicely, and Bria's room.
I think before then we went to the lobby, like downstairs, the TV room in the basement. Because I have a selfie of all of us in there, and then we went into the elevator.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I don't know. I think that's when we had our first meetup, because there was a few girls, and we went downstairs and met up. And there's 2 other girls. I can't remember their names, but they're in the picture. And we were fresh. We had our little Oakwood lanyards on.
Oh, we didn't know better.
We walked around with those, and then they told us that don't do that.
Yeah, we learned real quick, probably after the week. Put it in our pocket.
Yep, put it in our pocket.
Yeah, can't have the senior guys knowing that we're freshmen.
Right.
Okay, so outside of like our friend group, which I think just came naturally easy and soon, did you find that it was difficult to make friends freshman year?
No. And that was the thing I was surprised about, was just making friends so fast. And I think part of that was because I got involved in different things, whether that was Ignite, Power Half Hour, social work, club. And even though they weren't like close friends, I did like, exchange numbers, and we, if I saw them walking around, stop by and say hey. And I think freshman year definitely set the foundation of, becoming friends with them later on through senior year. Whether or not like we stayed connected, it was just like we knew each other from Power Half Hour, and we just kind of kept that relationship going on. So, of course, y'all were like my girls, y'all were my group. At the end of the day, like I'll be with y'all. And I don't even remember like hanging out with anybody else besides you guys until like maybe second semester. We start talking to someone, and then transition into like meeting some other people.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with you. I think it was just super easy. I think this freshman year, especially like the first semester, I think everybody is like looking for a group, or not necessarily a group, but just like a friend, whether it's in your classes or whether it's in the caf. Like everybody was super outgoing. There's just so many people that, I mean, including myself. Well, you stayed super social. I think I'm still social, but not as crazy social as I was back then. But like
Mhm.
everybody kind of like toned it down as time progressed. Because probably because everybody kind of had their friends and they just
Mhm.
kept them. So now I want to switch gears into talking about being in college and already being in a relationship. So
Oh yeah.
Sion's boyfriend did not go to the same school as us. I don't remember. I knew you had a boyfriend, but I just don't remember you talking about him until we were at the same like Sabbath lunch and he was there. I was like, oh, this is the boyfriend.
Wow. Right. That was like
So
early.
like
That was like August or September.
September. So how was that experience?
It wasn't a bad experience. Part of it was comforting. Like I still had someone I could talk to, while I'm still meeting new other people.
Yeah.
I think, and the distance really didn't bother me in terms of seeing them. It was just more so communication. And I did go home quite often. So even when I did go home, we would see each other. So it wasn't like we were totally, he lives in Georgia. So it wasn't like he was across the world. But it was interesting because, it's freshman year. People are trying to get to know each other and, you know, you know, Oakwood guys, trying to
Mhm.
say hi, make their impression. And I was a real friendly. So I was like, almost friends with everyone that made themselves friendly. And sometimes I guess they took that the wrong way. And then I'll be like, oh, I have a boyfriend. And they're like,
Right.
oh, okay. So then it was kind of like, I feel like throughout freshman year, I was kind of known as the girl that just had a boyfriend that no one saw or heard
Mhm.
of. So it was kind of like, that was interesting just because I didn't have a lot of guy friends because of that.
Mhm.
Um, so so that part was fun. I would kind of like at the end of the day, I'll call him up and be like, oh, this guy tried to talk to me, and then I told him I had a boyfriend, and then now he's not my friend anymore.
Yep.
I was like, so that part was interesting. But other than that, we ended up breaking up like second semester just because we were still young. We still had some things to work out. It was still early to like focus on a long distance relationship while we're still figuring out our first year of college.
Mhm.
Um, but we're still cool. We're still friends. So I feel like we made the decision for the best of us.
So did you feel like you struggled at all like with that breakup, or was it kind of like, I'm good? Like were you
Um,
like sad about it for a long time?
I think okay. I wasn't sad, not, and I wasn't relieved. It was more so like this sounds terrible. I was, okay. Obviously, I was a little bit mature than him,
Mhm.
so I kind of knew that it had to end. So because I knew prior to us breaking up, so when it happened, I wasn't really heartbroken. It was just like
Mhm.
expected. Um, and kind of, I'll talk about this during our senior year because it kind of full circle. I wasn't relieved, but I was just kind of like looking forward to being single while experiencing freshman year.
Yeah.
Um, and not saying that I wanted to flirt around and talk to other guys. It was just like that was like a I it just felt like I had to do a lot trying to maintain the relationship. And now that it was over, I was a little bit more free to like, focus on other things and socialize and
Mhm.
not having to like check in and worry all the time.
Mhm.
So
I could see that. And I think it's going to be interesting to see like how you compare like that, and I know those are two different relationships, but how you like
mm-hmm,
compare that experience to your other relationship.
mm-hmm,
But I feel like another common thing that happens during college outside of dating is also, going out and having a good time. So like a lot
yeah,
of people are looking forward to college because they're like, oh, there's going to be more boys, there's going to be more girls.
mm-hmm.
Then also, we get to turn up. So how was your experience? Let's do freshman. Well, no, it doesn't have to be limited to freshman year, but how was your experience with like college parties? Are you a party person?
That's funny. Okay, so honestly, I didn't start quote unquote, they can't see you, quote unquote partying till till senior year. I think freshman year we went to our first party, and that
Mhm.
was probably like our last one. Um, it was my first and last one. I don't know. Did you go?
We went to that party
Yes.
together. Yes. Wait.
Oh,
Everything's wait. Remember the one we went to when we caught a ride with like the
Yes.
person who had the truck? Was that freshman
Yeah.
year or was that sophomore year?
That was freshman year.
Okay.
And then we went to the Super Bowl party.
Yeah, so yeah,
But
we
I
just
don't
went to those two. But that
too.
wasn't a party. That was more of a
That kicked back. Yeah.
back. Yeah. Wow.
So that first one, I was like, wow, is this a college? This is a college party. Like, it was dark. Everyone was like dancing. They had two different rooms, like the Caribbean one and then like the regular one. And
that was interesting.
we were just standing on the wall. It was just like, okay, it was crowded. You know, we didn't drink or anything, or it was just like we were there. And I feel like it was a cool experience, you know. I'm glad that we did go, but that was probably like the last one, because after that, like just until senior year, I was just busy. You know, I was, you know, a student leader, so I didn't have interest in going to those parties anyway. One, I was in a relationship. Two, I was busy, and you know, we made our own fun. But
we were really good at doing that.
We did. Like, we had a lot of fun doing nothing.
Yeah, literally nothing.
But I feel like I don't regret not going to enough parties. I think senior year, I wouldn't have enjoyed them as much if I went during my sophomore and junior year. I would have been like partied out kind of thing.
And I know a senior year, a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm done with parties. Like, I go to a kickback,
like,
but not a party.
I was getting just started. I was like, where y'all going?
They were like, does anyone have a move tonight? Girl. But I'm different. I wish, and I'll just speak for myself personally, I wish I would have gone to more parties, just because, like, I still feel like there's a part of me that's like, I need, I don't know, but that could be linked to like COVID-19 and not having like that proper like graduation goodbye party. So maybe that's what it's linked to. But I do think we did a really good job of making our own fun. And I'll say freshman year, I never like really wanted to go out, really. I think after that party went to, I was like, they're not even that fun. And I think it's because like we weren't party people. Like that's just not what we were doing. And I think, not saying like we kind of evolved into party people, but I think now we could go to a party and have more fun.
Right.
So I think parties are fun. And for me, I think like sophomore and junior year, I definitely wanted to go to more, but because of the stuff I was involved in, you know, kind of advised not to. But looking back, I think there were definitely some good moments. And I think like, you know, you and I, we both became more friends with different people as the years progressed. And we'll talk about that a little later. But I think like, you know, they kind of also like opened our eyes to different types of fun. So like, you know, you would go hang out like with your social work people and you guys would do some stuff. And then I would hang out like with a couple of my communication or biology people. We would do something different. So it was like in college, you don't have to always party. You could still do like a whole bunch of other stuff that will be equally or more fun.
And we did that.
Okay. We sure did. We did that. Now, this is like literally not related to parties. It kind of seems kind of random, but I know one thing a lot of people are worried about, specifically when they go to Oakwood sometimes, is the food, the cafeteria experience. So you're a pescatarian. I'm a carnivore, if that's what we're called. I don't know what it's called. So like, how was your experience eating in the cafeteria?
It wasn't bad. I think because I was raised vegetarian, pescatarian, that I was used to the food. I definitely agree there was meals that could have been prepared a lot better, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't 100% the best, but you know, definitely a hit or miss. But I didn't really complain about it too much. You know, I just kind of had the mindset, okay, well, let me just get some salt and pepper, you know, using up real quick, and then that was it. You know, I didn't work. I didn't have a car, so it was kind of like, I'm not going to complain about the only option I have. But over time, you know, once I had a car and money, best believe I was not at the caf.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think freshman year, I mean, I remember like we would complain about the caf every once in a while. I have a video of us like, we were doing something with the food, but like, that's all we had to eat. None of us had cars. So like, you know, we got used to, we would make the best out of what we could. But I think definitely like, once the car was an option, like we're going to Zaxby's. Who wants to come with? Like, why go to the caf? I was just thinking about it, like having a car was great in college, But the amount of money that you spend when you
Yes.
have a car versus when you don't have a car is ridiculous.
I was shook. I was like, oh my gosh. It was a lot. I mean, definitely like pros and cons to it, especially
Mm-hmm.
when you have a car rides. People want, ask, can you take me here? Can you take me here? But I definitely feel like, financially that I was like, okay, I need to start saving
Mm-hmm.
gas money, groceries, and stuff like that. But going back to the calf, I feel like a lot of our friendship memories happened at the calf too. So it's kind of
Yes.
like we didn't really focus on the food. We played with the food, like you know
Sure
we
did.
got the big tables. We just had fun. And, we didn't even really focus about what the pizza looked like or the rice. We just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like ate, laughed. It was just that was our time to socialize.
And
But
also, oh, go ahead.
over time, like junior and senior, that's when I started focusing on the food. I was like, ooh, this really ain't it.
Broccoli salad shouldn't be on the
I
menu.
said, who made this?
But you know what's crazy though? I literally remember freshman year buying Tupperware and taking
Oh,
stuff out of the cat. So it's like I think we
pastas.
just became more ungrateful as the years went by because I wasn't taking no Tupperware junior and senior
Uh,
year.
oh no.
That's crazy.
Yep, that was
And
gonna
I
be dinner for later.
yup, and breakfast the next day.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I was really thankful for you and Star junior year because I had my car junior year, but I was not going to the calf. I would like either eat at Justin's place, go get
Mhm.
something to eat, or when I moved into the house, eat at the house. But you and Star be like, oh, we're going to the calf, and I'd be like, okay, I'm paying for this freaking
Yeah.
meal plan. I might as well use it because I would just like go into the market, just using my
Yeah.
market points. But okay, so calf wasn't that bad until we got cars. So let's segue into sophomore year. What's
Ooh.
one word you would use to describe sophomore year?
Um, I was stressed.
Mm-hmm.
um, it was stress. Like I just remember being stressed. Not all the time, but like that was definitely my year of like, oh shoot, like this is what it this is what they were talking about when it comes to time management and
Yeah.
being organized, and making just time for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's my one word, stress.
I think for me, this isn't one word. I'll make it one word by adding a hyphen in between. Sophomore year was a reality check, I think, for
Yes, I
me.
like that. I like that.
Oh, okay. I forgot something. We both started sophomore year off in a relationship. I was
We
thinking that was
did.
junior year. Yeah, sophomore year. So
We
guys, me and
did.
Sion, we
Oh,
had
and
the
you have to tell
same
them.
we had the same anniversary date, July 4th, 2017. That was hilarious.
That
I
was
think it was
funny.
like later that day I looked on your Snapchat. I think you posted something. And then we
Mhm.
were talking. You're like, "Oh yeah, it's my boyfriend." I was like, "No way, he's my
I'm weak.
boyfriend now." And
And
that
I
was
thought you were lying. I was like, no way. You can like stop. There were so many coincidences. I don't want to get into it, but like just it was too much. I was like, wow, we
yeah.
have a double wedding.
Literally, I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a double wedding." But I say that sophomore year was a reality check
hmm
because everything was different.
Yeah.
Literally in a new dorm, same roommate, different suite mates. You were one of my suite mates. New dorm. I was in a relationship. Our friend group split, and
Yeah.
so like it was a couple of us left. Classes were different. I was different. I don't know. Like, so my question to you is like, how did sophomore year differ from freshman year for you?
One, having a boyfriend there with me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it was fun. It was interesting. And then two, I just got involved in so much. I had a singing group. I was in chapel. I was uh, had a position in the social work club. So my time went to a lot of people,
Yeah.
or a lot of organizations, a lot of different things. And that's why I say it was stress, because like, you know, transitioning from freshman year, it was just fun all the time. I had no responsibilities, besides classwork and stuff, no like time restraints. Like we just did whatever. And then transitioning that into sophomore year, making sure to spend time with your boyfriend and have meetings and rehearsals and waking up early, staying out late, and I wasn't focused on myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll transition that into like junior and senior year, but like I was just focused on everything else but me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was stressful, but like at the same time, that I feel like that was like the pivotal, like a reality check. Like this is life. This is what it means to have time management, be organized. And I really had to change my whole like work lifestyle in terms of getting a planner, getting sticky notes. I don't know if you remember, my room
I remember
was
them sticky
full
notes.
full of. Did you know we were roommates or seatmates?
Yes, good times.
That we had good
times.
times.
That was
So
really
many.
fun, actually.
It was. We had our movie nights, and I'll come in and kill the bugs, and you would scream and run away.
Yes,
It would be a ladybug. You'd be like, Sion. I'm like, what?
I don't
Come
do bugs.
kill it.
I only thing I'll kill is an ant. That's it.
Oh, the roaches. I could. And I was so scared of killing roaches. Like now I'm a professional because of being an RA and stuff. But like I was scared too. But I was like, okay, one of us has to kill it, and I know it's not going to be you.
So let me Star. Star would be in the bed, half asleep.
No, I think she locked the door that one time.
Yeah, she locked the door one time. Yes.
I couldn't. I was like, all right.
Oh my God. Okay, so I think we definitely did have a really good time in the room. But I think one thing that was hard for me to adjust to, and I kind of hit on it, was like our 9-girl, 8-girl friend group, dropped down. I mean, I don't want to say it wasn't a group anymore.
Yeah.
It was just a couple of us that would hang out. So like,
right.
I know that affected me a lot. Like it was, again, a reality check. But I've never heard you talk about it. So did that affect you? If it did, how did it affect you?
Honestly, until you said that, this sounds bad. I love everyone, but I kind of just forgot everyone existed.
Oh my God.
And now I mean, besides you and Star, because y'all, we live together, but like I said before, I was so focused on so many other things that we didn't have time to like go to the caf or go to the different events that happened, go to the skating rink. And I didn't really see that as a dang, like I miss my friends, because my time was so preoccupied. But now looking back on it, I was like, dang, like I really didn't hang out with friends. It was just hanging out with the people that I was associated with in those clubs, organizations, or whatever, or my current boyfriend. But I wish that I did, because I feel like between freshman year and sophomore year, like those first 2 years, that's when you should have fun, because junior year and senior, that's when life, like your classes, internships, work, it gets real. And then that's when it became harder to like actually make time to hang out with your friends. But yeah, I kind of forgot about you guys.
You're terrible. But I also think the boyfriends kind of came in at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine like, dating someone that's at Oakwood freshman year while we had that. Something would have suffered. There's no way you could have like equally split your time between the two. And even if you did, if you would have been hanging out with your boyfriend, you would have missed out on something crazy that was going on in like Bria's room.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Okay, let's talk about, the relationship a little bit. So, you were dating your current ex, and he was 2 years older, right?
Yeah.
I don't want the details of how you guys got together, but like, how was that process of, dating a guy that was older than you? Was it exciting? Was it scary?
Honestly, it didn't really hit me until things got serious. And when I say serious, like we could potentially be a boyfriend. Because at first I was like, we're talking, hanging out, going on dates. This is what we do in college. So I was like, okay, this is what you do. And then because we lived in the same state, that's when things kind of like got a little bit more real. I was just like, oh, this could possibly go somewhere. And I was like, okay, well, I'm a very like, when it comes to like relationships, I'm very serious. So it was like, okay, if we're gonna keep doing this, you're gonna have to meet my family. See how you vibe with my family, because family means a lot to me. My siblings, my parents, everything. And then that's when it was kind of like, okay, he's older. okay, before we get together, is this going to work out? I mentioned that I was like, you're obviously about to graduate. I'm still be in school. Can this distance work? And I'm not sure if it was the love talking or just, it was just like, yeah, we can make it work. You're 3 hours away, blah, blah, blah. I have a car. You'll eventually get a car. We'll make it work. I'm going to come visit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I felt reassured. So I was like, okay, cool. And also part of that was like, and this changes my mindset now with not changes, but like at the time I was just like, okay, dating someone older, means that they'll be more mature, they'll have their life together. Not 100%, because I feel like we're all learning life and getting our stuff together at different times. But, sophomore year Sion was like, oh, he's older. So when I come out of college, we're going to be good. I'm going to go to grad school. Things going to be banging. No. But I think it was definitely a good experience and just kind of a new perspective, seeing, I feel like that was not trying to say my first relationship didn't count, but this relationship was like the first one where I understood what it really meant to be a girlfriend, and also making sure that I'm good, like whether that's, my needs, what do I want to do? Because, my first relationship was just like, oh, we like each other, let's date, forget about the world. It's just you and me. So the second one really made me think like, okay, this is long-term, I'm thinking long-term, what does this mean? Grad school, where are we going to stay in Georgia? What's going to happen with us? Are you going to get a job? Are you going to do this? That kind of thing. But, down the line, it was just like, okay, we're still figuring things out, and that's okay. I don't know if I'm transitioning into like us breaking up.
Not yet. We'll save that for
gotcha.
We'll save that for the end of junior year or beginning of senior year. Okay. Well, I think it was actually like really, I love the fact that we were both dating at the same time.
Yes.
Like our boyfriends, they were cool. Like they could talk on them like by themselves. We could talk by ourselves, and like we would go like on the double dates. I remember when Bridge Street that one time we took those pictures. It was actually popped up on my phone a couple weeks ago. Like, good times. But I think like Justin came along literally at the perfect time. I think sophomore year was a very lonely year for me, just because things were different. Like you were saying, we were all busy, right? And I made all these like relationships freshman year, but I think a lot of them were like acquaintanceships, right? So I could talk to Jurgens anytime, but me and Jurgens didn't have the relationship where I was like, oh, let's go to church together, let's go to the camp together. So I think like, you and Star would have your social work meetings with that like Tuesday or Wednesday nights. It's like, oh shoot, what do I do? Like I didn't always, I love my boyfriend and everything, but I just didn't want him to be my whole world. I wanted to have like, life outside of that. So that was a big struggle. But I think like me going on that communication trip and like, like not meeting, but like becoming close with like Daphne and Ashlyn, like that really, really helped, because like, Ashlyn's one of my good friends now.
Yeah.
And that just helped, having somebody else that I can spend time with, while you guys are all busy and while I'm busy too. So sophomore year was definitely interesting. So I was struggling with like loneliness. What would you say you were struggling with outside of like being busy sophomore year?
Really just balance. I had no sense of organization, and it was just balance. I didn't really know how to, it was like I said, transitioning from freshman year, everything being new. It was like, I felt like empowered. I was like, ooh, I can do this. I can do that. I can juggle all these things. I was like, these balls are literally falling out my hand, but I'm still trying to juggle them. And I did that for a whole year. So and then that's like, transition to junior year, it was just like, okay, balance beyond time management, organization. So like sophomore year wasn't too bad in terms of socializing, because I felt like it definitely, like being involved definitely helped me become more of an extrovert. And I think that's the biggest part of Oakwood I appreciated, was me coming out of my comfort zone. Because I was, like I said, prior to Oakwood, I was shy, I was quiet. Definitely not who I am now. So it was like, I feel like that time was needed in terms of knowing my strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I know, it's like, okay, what am I going to do with it now?
And I agree with you 100%. I definitely think like being involved introduces you to so many different people. I think like if I wasn't involved at college and I just went to class, I don't even know who I would be, I don't even know what life would look like. That was if you are someone that's listening and you're like in college or you're about to go to college and you don't know if you want to be involved, I say do it. If you go to like a small school, I think you can be involved in a lot of different stuff. If you go to a bigger school, it might be a little harder, but get involved. It'll expose you to some really great people and give you some great experiences.
Definitely. Even if you like comfort zone, like when I tell you guys, I was shy, I was quiet. So, you know, I really had to like come out of my comfort zone, and it takes a minute. You know, it's not going to be like you join something and then you're just this major extrovert. And not saying being an extrovert is like the best thing. You could still be an introvert and still, you know, participate and be engaged with everything else. You know, just you got to find your niche. And it's a trial and error. You know, many times I felt like freshman year we were in so many group chats and so many clubs, organizations because we're interested. We just left that because we weren't interested. And the ones that stuck are the ones that we felt like we could do, you know, we could work in.
And this is random, but like, actually, I do remember you being quiet, actually. Because like, you know, me and Bria and, you know, another one of my friends, we were kind of like the crazy ones, like loud, gregarious ones. And you were definitely on like the more, like you weren't sitting there in silence, but you were like, you're a giggler. I think you still are kind of like a giggler now, but you am. You just laugh all the time.
I really did. Because y'all were so funny. I was just like, where do these girls come from? Part of the time I was just shook. I was just like, did they really just do this? Did she really just go out in the middle of the floor and dance? Like,
oh my God.
I was just amazed. I was like, I can't do nothing but laugh.
No, I can't do anything but laugh now too.
Okay, so how did y'all like part 1 of this episode? I literally love how the conversation flows, and it literally just sounds like two friends having a FaceTime call. Well, unfortunately, this FaceTime call ended up being a little long, so I had to split it up into 2 episodes. So if you're interested in hearing part 2 of me and Sion's conversation, where we really dive into junior year, senior year, grad school, and just adjusting to post-grad life during the pandemic, go ahead and click on the part 2 of this episode. See you there. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Graduated and Grown podcast. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't already, be sure to rate this podcast 5 stars and subscribe to the podcast so you can get a notification every single time a new episode is posted each week. Also, don't forget to follow our Instagram at Graduated and Grown so you can learn a little bit more about our guests, about our topics, get some resources, and provide some feedback and or episode ideas for the podcast. All right, y'all, it was your host, Ariane, and I'll talk with you all next week.